As a home designer for the past 15 years, I've worked on many massive projects, both for television and for the residential and private market. In 2015, I decided to put my money where my mouth was and build a holiday home that we call a batch for my family.
But with only 100 days to complete it,
The blockwork is too wide to fit the fireplace.
and with plenty of dramas,
We're out of cladding.
Bloody hell. Just one more thing.
but the pain was worth it.
Well, we're done, and it's fantastic. Yeah, I'd definitely do this again. I love it. And now I'm going to help my friends Alex and Rachel attempt a massive renovation on a grand scale.
By gutting their 85-year-old home and adding a second story.
I'd like it to stay pretty, obviously colonial.
We're going to half destroy this house and take it back to its roots.
That's complete open plan living.
With a tight budget and only 100 days to build,
This is red ones and split and breaking
That's
down.
what it's like inside there.
there is no room for error.
We're going to be at least another 4 weeks away from actually having our windows.
But will the pressure be too much?
20 minutes, she went from fine to really sick.
Welcome to the 100-day renovation.
I'm going up straight to the top, walking out with my head up high. Moving on to a brand new place, and now it's here in the blink of an eye. You can't stop me now, moving fast, going everywhere I wanted to be. And now I'm here today was made for me. Yeah, I was born to be free.
Alex and Rachel are a third of the way through the renovation of their 1930s home, and there's been a number of unwanted surprises.
One of the biggest challenges has been just dealing with walls that are out of plumb, existing floors are out of level, and then it's just trying not to do too much damage, to the existing house downstairs.
And the electricity mains cable continued to stretch the budget, with Alex needing to halve the cost of the replacement.
What we've actually settled on now is replacing the existing cable that came in and is ancient, basically doing a like for like, but going up onto the apex of the new part of the house, so that takes that power cable out of the way of the front door. No issues, job done.
With temperatures plummeting overnight, the reality of living on a building site in the middle of winter is starting to hit home.
Here I am on the first day that it's actually got cold. I'm wearing a coat and a hat inside doing work. And there's a big hole in the house just up there, chucking it down. It's amplified by the wrap over the house, so it sounds unbelievably loud. You realise how different it is when you don't have insulation, and it's, to be fair, it's not cold because it's Auckland, it never gets cold. There's never a frost or anything like that. It really makes a difference to the point that you're sitting in your house wearing a coat.
For Kelsey, the biggest issue has been the delay with the steel beams, but with the rappet covering the house, he's been able to move on to other parts of the build.
I mean, because we've had this time where we haven't had the steel, we've been able to get on and do, like we've cut all the studs, all the plates for the framing upstairs, all the lintels. So that's all ready to go. So once we actually get the floor down, it'll just be a case of putting it all together and standing some frames up. So yeah, I mean, we've been doing stuff that we probably would have done in a few weeks. We're done now. I think we're probably slightly behind there, I would say.
With the steel beams due on site today, they will need to be installed as soon as possible. Because until they are welded in place, no more work can continue on the second story.
The biggest hurdle that really had to be overcome with the house was how do you support an entire second story on top of an old house on sandy soil? The answer to that is quite simple, if not easy. First thing is they had to dig underneath the house and pour concrete pads underneath. Those are in there to support 4, or in this case in the house many, steel vertical uprights. Next thing that comes along, 4 more bits of steel as such, and they form a portal. On top of that goes our frame for the second story, and then ultimately the roof. And by doing this, we transfer the load from upstairs all the way down through the existing building, down to the concrete pads. Effectively, the entire top story of the house is supported on stilts, and none of that weight is on the existing structure.
The site needs to be cleared for health and safety reasons. But before the family leave, I want to give their son Max a surprise.
You know, I've been told by your mum and dad, you know, obviously it's been a pretty hectic 2 years for you guys, you know, and you've been an outstanding son, I understand. So your mum and dad, they got you a little treat, you know, just to say thanks for being a good son and helping out. So have a little squiz.
Oh, damn.
I'll hold the paperwork for you. It's quite special, this one.
What? A fully signed Barcelona jersey.
Yeah, your mum told me it's really special. Is that the go?
Yes.
Nice. So I thought what we'd do is we'd do something for you and get it framed up really nicely. I talked to your mum and dad and they said we can do that and we can get it all mounted up and put it on the wall for you.
That
Nice?
is really cool.
And Alex and Rachel are just as excited.
Thank you so much for, it's been quite hard with me, I know. I've spent a lot of time in hospital
Yes.
and a lot of the time I can't walk, and you always help me up and down steps, and you help me a lot, bring me things when I can't move.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've been really wonderful, so thank you.
Oh, thank you for this.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the whole
Yeah.
team, and we've got a list of who has signed it, but
Yes.
I'm sure you'll know everyone.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, very welcome.
Thumbs up. I don't know anyone on the shirt.
The steel beams arrive and Rachel and the kids leave the site, while Alex stays behind to project manage.
Today is going to be difficult because we've got to get the steel in here to start with, and it's heavy. For the next week or two is going to probably be the hardest part of the whole job, really.
It's a delicate operation, with each piece of the steel custom made and precisely designed.
I don't actually have a measurement on that one.
Yeah, the other one's just inside the deck, so I'll put
Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, that one probably is 4805. Is that what that is? That's all right. At least we didn't get it up there.
Yeah.
Oh, I just looked at it. Didn't like it was going to fit, and it won't because that's the one for the other side. So. They're about 140 kgs, the top beam. There's a little lifter that's going to lift it up on the outside, then we're going to slide it across the scaffold and probably just manhandle them once we get them in.
But once they lift the first piece, they discover it doesn't quite fit.
About 10 mil.
About finger width.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be the original build. It's just out.
Well,
There's nothing like a bit of Kiwi ingenuity to fix the problem.
it's about right there.
The first beam is secured to the house until it can be welded to the vertical posts attached to the concrete footings. And Kelsey and his team turn their attention to the front of the house.
So this is the trickier one they've got to put up. They've got the power cable in the way. They're using a chain block to pull it up, which, to be fair, is working a treat. Once again, a hard job.
It's an important day at the Hibiscus Coast renovation as Kelsey and his team add steel beams to the interior of the house to support the second floor. And Rachel has left the comfort of her parents' home to check on progress.
Never has the house of my parents with all their sort of, 70-year-old styling been so luxurious because there's a roof and comfy seats. I guess we had to have a really bad day at some point, and this is it when the steel arrives. It's also pretty cold. Good progress, no disasters yet, I don't think. Well, none that I've been told about.
And it is going to plan. With the second steel beam successfully winched up onto the roof, now they just have to maneuver it into position.
So what is that?
I'm going to slide it my way a bit. So sit it on the plank.
Yep.
Okay. Down. Go down. Good.
It's a reasonably delicate moment for something that's so heavy, that's at least 140 kgs. You've got to pick it up, tease it past the power cable, which is the main power into the house, so you don't want to mess with it, and drop it into this little slot down here without dropping it on your hands or your feet. So for something so bulky and so strong, it's just a little moment of precision that's got to happen, because you don't really want to do it again.
What were you thinking? Oh, no. Just getting that up under this and over to this side.
Got enough slack.
Okay.
I need to lift it up, eh? Just careful where you're standing about it.
They're coming up?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
We in?
Yep. Good. Cool. Happy days. Oh, I think it went well, yeah. Not too much drama. It's sitting in hands to make it all work. We got something right, so yeah. We're just got to put the legs on that now that connect it down to the base and the joist, perimeter joist to the house. So once we tile that in, it's all good.
With work continuing on the steel throughout the house, Alex and Rachel are literally left out in the cold, and it's brought the realities of the build home.
He walked in there and he said, well, we'll do all the work upstairs and we'll punch through the staircase and that'll be it.
Yeah, which is how you sold it to me.
That's what he said to me.
I thought, brilliant. That sounds. Why do people make a fuss about building? That's no hassle. That's easy.
It's like the ultimate salesman. It'll be easy. Sign here.
It's cold. It's winter. We don't have a roof.
This is my inside coat.
Gosh, I'm not going to forget this in a hurry.
I know, it's cool though.
Yeah, oh no, it is cool. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally cool. It's freezing.
Welding's underway. It's a big step. Once the steel's in and it's all welded, then of course Kelsey can progress with doing the floor upstairs. And once that's sort of underway, that means the ceilings can get screwed back up and fixed back up, and then we can take the props down, which means Alex can continue on with bits and pieces downstairs. So it's the perfect time for Alex and I to head out shopping. With heavy damage from the work under the house and the scaffolding, the deck needs to be replaced. And I immediately thought of Abode, who I use for the cladding at my own holiday home in Kuratau.
So, do you do all of it?
Basically what we do is factory coat 100% of the product before it goes to the market, and what that does is it means that we have more control on the product once it gets to site, rather than let the homeowner do that or a builder. The benefit of factory coating it is that we've got all four sides of the board coated, whereas Alex is out there with a mop, then he'd be probably mopping the front of the board, and the back of the board wouldn't be protected. And in your house particularly, you've got earth below it, you've got damp rising, so if you don't seal the back of the board, that dampness rises up to the back of the decking board, and that causes cupping and movement. So sealing all four sides is pretty critical.
When people stain themselves, if they don't know what they're doing, you can get overlaps and drying points. Because people always do it on a hot sunny day, which if you read the packet, it always says don't do it on a hot sunny day. So this way you get a nice consistent finish as well. Why would you do it yourself?
I know. I mean, even if you're pre-staining and rolling it on before you fit it, it's still going to take 4 times as long.
Well, it looks like I've convinced Alex to use the pre-stained decking. Now it just comes down to the colour.
Right, we've got 2 options here. And option 1 is the pearl, which is a silvery grey, and what that will do is will slowly weather with age and give you sort of a silvery grey look over time, which is quite low maintenance. The other option is to go with a walnut darker brown, and that will give you that brown look that you're looking for, but that will require more maintenance over time. So those are the things you've got to weigh up.
How often are we talking, every year or every couple of years for restaining?
As an indication, every 2 to 3 years you'll be re-oiling it. It's a very easy process, so wash the deck and then re-oil. The benefit of a penetrating oil over a film forming is that it doesn't create any film. So there's no stain, there's no stripping, sanding the boards. All you do is wash it and recoat.
Okay, well, I guess that's decided. That's the one. Love it.
The walnut oil will really match the colours I've chosen for the house and be in keeping with the colonial plantation look we want. In the morning, welding continues on the steel to form the portal for the second floor, both upstairs and in the kitchen. The main part of the house is now safe to move around in, and Alex wastes no time in demolishing the bathroom.
What are you doing?
Well, Dean, the electrician, needs to get to all the walls in the existing part of the house for his rewiring.
Sure.
And we're actually changing some of the positioning of the wiring as well. So he needed, this is the last piece of the puzzle which hadn't been attacked yet, so he needed me to take the jib off so that he can get wiring down in here for power here. All this tiling's going to come off as well. So I'm just going to leave the facilities because otherwise we don't have any.
Are we still putting the LED light underneath the cabinet?
Yes.
So he needs to make sure he's got cable behind there for when you pull that out.
When this comes off in a week, 2 weeks, whenever it is, it's an easy rest of the cable goes through.
Yeah, can't you just brush your teeth in the shower?
I could do. So yeah, just attacking it as best as I can and doing all the work that I can do, which saves me paying someone else to do it, really.
Just remember, it's still 100 days.
I know, it's fine, I'm confident.
So you probably better get changed.
Yeah, I'm going to get stuck into this again. I noticed how you didn't just volunteer to help. Just go.
But I'm discovering that it's not just the bathroom that needs rewiring. This red one's all split and breaking
that's
down.
what it's like inside there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's all bad.
And the cabling upstairs is a disaster as well and could delay the last of the steel beams being installed. How many cables are running around the place in all directions?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when he said it's all going to be moved because the steel's going through. We'll get me tool to start pulling stuff apart. Okay. So you're not relying on power?
Not today, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the blue?
The blue's phone. That's actually dead. The old phone line's about 40 years old. So I temporarily hooked that up to a point underneath, well, down in the master bedroom, the old master bedroom, and it works.
So I have internet, so that's good, so I can work.
You don't need the internet to sweep up.
He should be up here with a vacuum.
I reckon. I've been saying the same thing.
Oh, shut up.
This is such an old house. The wiring is just dodgy, full stop. You know, obviously pulled wiring out. It's all chemical reaction breaking down. On top of that, they're finding little junction boxes and bits and pieces. So, not cool, really. Lots to do, lots of fixing. At Alex and Rachel's renovation of their 1930s cottage, the last of the steel beams have been inserted to form the portal that will support the second story. But the dangerous and messy electrical wiring and plumbing are causing delays.
I know there's going to be a blowout on the electricals because
Old wiring.
Yes. Some of which don't go anywhere, some of which are so badly worn that they're almost to the point where they're going to catch fire. Same with the plumber. It's just a mess and it's not up to code anymore. So all of that gets replaced, which is additional to putting in new plumbing for a new bathroom.
With so many safety concerns, Rachel has come to a decision.
So we always said we weren't going to move out, and I really, really meant it. But we've now moved out. You know, we're down to one bathroom. Max doesn't have a bedroom. We don't have a lounge. Half the house has been gutted. And we don't have a roof, obviously, and the temperatures have really dropped. We've had a lot of rain as well. It is very cold in the house. So Alex and the dog and the cat and the rabbit are staying put, but me and the kids have taken the slightly easier option of moving out and staying with some family and friends for the time being.
For Kelsey and his apprentice Nathan, it means they can work on the floor above without worrying about the family below. And they are racing ahead, installing the joists that will support the second floor. The thin pieces of steel get sandwiched between two big pieces of timber and bolted through. You're putting your timber on and then you're trying to drill through. So you've got to drill through from one side, sort of clamp it on and then chuck it on the other side and bolt it through then. And then you can fix the joists straight into it, so it's timber to timber fixing. And where you find things like the big steel lintels and stuff like that, you can often pack them out with timber and bolt them through too. Fun job. It's been years since I've had the fun of doing that. The renovation is now picking up speed, and Alex will need to organise a painter sooner rather than later.
So here is the painting contract, the quotation. It's on a Master Painters New Zealand form. So if I just walk you quickly through it, there's just a little bit of preamble here so that it explains about the content of the document.
Right.
And there's also a checklist here for you to just to have a look at. If you answer no to any of those questions, you probably need to give me a ring so we can get some clarity
Sure.
going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is our price for doing the work, and it is inclusive of GST.
Right, got you.
So what are we actually going to do? We're going to clean the outside of the existing part of the home. And so it is the existing house and the garage.
Yeah.
And we've also pointed out here that you've given us a specification that Resine has supplied you, and we just acknowledge that the painting work will be done in accordance with that specification. The new work here, so we're going to be painting all your new interior and exterior work, and again it's being done to that specification that Resine has supplied. This contract comes with a master painter's 5-year workmanship guarantee. What that means is that if there is any remedial work required because of workmanship failure up to 5 years, master painters will see that that is carried out.
Oh, so say if my paint starts flaking off the weatherboards in 2 years' time, then I can call you up and...
And we will come and have a look, and if it's a failure of workmanship, then you're covered under that guarantee.
Oh, great. That's actually really good, yeah. The whole point of what we're trying to achieve with the renovation is doing it properly, and I don't want to be repainting in 2 years' time because I'm not a painter.
And we don't want to be painting in 2 years' time.
So it's kind of, okay, well, bite the bullet, things cost money, you're going to have to spend the money, but let's get it done properly and spend the money once.
Good. If you're happy with what we've done here, we'll let you take that away and sign on the dotted there and return it to us.
Marvellous. That was great.
With the guarantee, Alex knows he'll be able to get a great paint finish. But before he can set a start date for the painters, he needs to first complete all of the demolition.
It should come apart reasonably easily. It's quite good doing this because it makes me actually feel like I'm part of this thing. So when it's done, I go, oh yeah, I did that, I wrecked that bit, I carried this. But it also saves me money because I don't have 2 qualified builders who are being paid good money to basically just smash things.
And that's not the only way Alex is trying to save money.
This is my 6th skip now, and that's money in your budget that is gone. So I'm trying now to slow it right down. The thing that I learned really quickly was try and pack the skip as best you can so there's no air, and you're getting actually the best value you can out of each one. But also we've got to the point where, other than what I'm doing now, which is the last bathroom coming out, it's only really going to be offcuts going in here. And hopefully it'll last another week, hopefully it'll last longer.
An important part of the feature upstairs will be the walk-in wardrobe, and I'm doing the legwork for Rachel and looking at our options.
I've come to meet Melanie from Wardrobes Plus, and she's brought me along to a newly renovated house to have a look at what's actually available on the market and what can be done now. Wow, I love it. I love the colour.
It's good, isn't it? Yep.
Thickness. So what do we got going on here?
Okay, so this is a 25mm product, which I think looks good in master wardrobes as it's more of a luxurious sort of feel.
Yeah. So these are all soft close runners.
Yep, soft close, and ta-da.
Wow. So you got the jewellery drawer, and good for guys too, huh?
Well, yeah, it's not just for women. I mean, we love it, but it's also good for the guys to chuck watches, phones, anything at the end of the day. You can just put it in, shut the drawer. It's a really nice sort of touch to a fabulous walk-in wardrobe.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the LED stuff we've got going on in here.
Yeah, they're a really good design feature in terms of adding a bit of luxury to a walk-in wardrobe, but also it's practical. You can see everything, and especially with Alex and Rachel's walk-in wardrobe, there's no natural lighting, so it's going to be quite good to have the lighting going along the hanging rails, but as well as underneath the toe kick.
Nice. I love it.
And there's even options for the kids' bedrooms as well.
So this is a wall hung system, room for some toys to be pushed in underneath there. And it's got pretty much all you need in terms of long hang, double hang, drawers, open shelving.
So what do we got in regards to drawer runners and the system?
So I mentioned this was a more cost-effective system compared to the Master, but that's because the drawers are different. The Master's got a full melamine box drawer, undermount runners, soft close, whereas these ones are a metal-sided, just a standard sort of drawer. And we can add an extra shelving where the hanging is for the kids' toys and things like that, and at a later date they can take those shelves out if they need some more hanging.
I think the walk-in wardrobe will be perfect, and I can't wait to see Melanie's designs for each of the bedrooms. At the house, work on the second floor is progressing well, and James White has come to check up on the budget.
Hey Alex, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Hard at work?
I'm doing something useful.
Good. Saving yourself some money?
Yeah, a bit of bathroom demolition. Should we go see?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was due in a couple of weeks ago, but now it's in?
It's in, yep. It's not secured to the foundations yet.
No.
But they've been doing all the work upstairs so they can get the floor ready and down.
So they're pushing ahead.
Yeah, no, it's going really well. Yeah, it feels like there's pace to it. It's good.
Yeah. No, certainly from what I can see, they're moving.
Yeah. So climb through.
Yeah. So it's come on a bit. Yeah, there's a bit of progress up here for sure. Steel beams have gone in, Kelsey.
Yep, no, they're all in now.
So,
looking good.
Yeah.
Could have been a bit of a delay on those, but we got there in the end.
And other than that, sort of progress going according to plan?
Yeah.
How are we tracking?
Yeah, we're probably slightly behind where we'd like to be, but no, it's ticking over.
And I guess this tent's been a saving grace
Oh,
in the weather?
Yeah, no, we'd just be miles behind without that. Yeah, no, that's just been
worth its weight in gold.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's working in the factory, really. It's awesome. It's good.
Yeah, stoked.
Yeah,
No
it's
lost
great.
days.
No, and it's moving. You can actually see it moving every day. When that lot wasn't down this morning, I came back from work and there it is, you know, and you just start to see it actually move.
Yeah,
And you think it's actually moving quite fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess the plan from here is the rest of the joists, floors, frames and...
Yep. Yeah, no, you got it. Yeah, it's just getting these joists in, knocking out, getting ready for the lay the floor and...
Easy peasy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it will be. It'll go to the end of this floor. It's been involved. It's been a mission. But we are getting there now.
Yeah.
With the steel beams that will support the second story now installed, Alex and Rachel's renovation is starting to take shape, and quantity surveyor James White has come on site to discuss the delays and budget blowouts they are experiencing.
Budget then, which, I mean, it's quite early days to be honest, and we haven't actually used a lot of materials. So I think it's mostly time that's costing us money.
There's a lot of finicky.
Yeah, and I think that's
tricky bits.
because you don't know until you start dismantling. The joists and the nogs, they're all over the place from DIY jobs and renovations and other bits and pieces that have been done to this place over 100 years. You can't just rush it and roll through with a saw. You've got to do it carefully. So I think that's probably going to be my issue in this early stage, that the labour costs are going to be higher than we hoped they'd be because you just don't know.
So at the moment we're going through this really interesting transition where you're dealing with the old parts of the house and the new sort of extension coming in. Once that's been laid and the floors through, we'll be into the new work. And so I think the speed and the progress will start to accelerate when we see that, because you're not having to problem solve as much as you are with things that you don't know what's going to be under a floor, in a ceiling or in a roof space. It should become a bit more predictable. It sounds like they're getting through it, maybe a couple of days behind where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
But that's pretty good going at this stage of the process, to be so close to program.
At the moment, I'm happy and I'm reasonably comfortable with it. I'm still, I think that's just my nature. I just want to just drive it, you know?
Well, I think it's a real benefit with you being on site and being able to sort of muck in. That doesn't often happen. Obviously, saving yourself a bit of money. On renovations like this, a lot of it comes down to if you've got a clean site, it's a more productive site, so they might catch up a bit of time.
Yeah.
I think the 100 days is ambitious, but I think if Kelsey and his team keep tracking the way that they're tracking, I think it's achievable. And I think it's good to show that vested interest, just to keep that that pressure on the program, because if you start to sort of relinquish that pressure, sometimes it can stall.
Today is Rachel's turn on site as project manager, and she's noticed that the exterior needs more work than they originally thought.
The garden has really taken a beating so far with the build, which makes me a little sad, but I know it does happen, and the grass is slowly turning to mud. It's quite a wet, muddy mess at the moment.
And my longtime friend, landscape designer Jules Moore, is the perfect person to transform their garden.
Wow. You've got a bit of everything here, Rachel.
We do, don't we?
You've got a bit of native over here, exotic, lovely camellias, beautiful shapes and good bones for the garden. But what we have to do is almost clear some of this foliage in the front here.
Yeah.
And start over.
Yeah,
is that okay?
That's okay.
What I'd like to do is introduce you to a bit of maybe a French rendezvous within the garden.
That sounds fancy.
So, well, if you fancy some nice structured Trusses balls.
Yes.
A little bit of a grouping of those, some hydrangeas, kind of green and white with hot spots of colour.
Great.
I think that would just be really yummy here.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah,
no, I love it. Love
cool,
it.
Cool.
Yes.
What I would really like to see, and we've been doing it a little bit in our landscaping, is to create a screen back in front of these trunks, just to screen the trunks, but to give it some height. and it'll give us some backdrop for the garden below.
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's all sounding good.
Well, Rach, I think we've got a bit troppo here.
Yeah, it's got a bit out of hand, that's for sure.
Well, there's some things in here that work and certainly some things that don't. So this Kentia works.
Oh, great. So I like this one.
I think if we have more of these structured through the back here, with an underplanting that connects to the other side, I think we're on the right track. But there's certain things like the yuccas and the phoenix that just aren't working, hun.
No. Well, that's good, because I like this one, but yeah, I agree. The rest of it's gone a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything. That was awesome. From a homeowner's point of view, I'm like genuinely really excited. It sounds so good. I love your plans.
I am too. I can't wait to show you what we can do with this garden.
With the renovation at a critical stage, Alex really needs to start thinking about the next phase of the project.
I had a catch up quickly this morning with Kelsey, our builder, and Dean, the electrician, because everything's moving really, really quickly now. The joists are going down really fast now for the new floor upstairs. And at the moment, Dean, the Sparky, he's doing the wiring because there's a lot of cabling over the joists at the moment, so he's got to put it all through. And he asked me this morning a few questions which I didn't really have answers to, and it made me think, OK, I need to up my game here and actually be on top of this and start making some lists so that everything's in one place.
Yeah, you do, and it's kind of good if you could do this, and then you could, even if you've got the sheet printed out, so it's sitting on the kitchen bench.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
You can go, it's on the kitchen bench. I've emailed it to you, but it is on the kitchen bench. And keep that with the plans, and make sure the plans are always tidy. And when something gets delivered to site, say what's there. You know, it's all here, boys. At least then someone knows to go rummaging. So, I mean, you can always do a walkthrough with the Sparky, work out exactly where it is. Listen to him, he's done it for years. So he might say, you know what, you don't want to put one there, it's easier if we put one here, and you might put one up here.
Oh, he's been really good. We've already had that conversation where he's been asking about putting things here, and I suggested this, and you can't do it there. Has to be there.
Has to be
there.
there.
OK, fine.
Wardrobes can be measured for as soon as jib is lined in the wardrobes, OK, effectively.
This is really good, actually.
No, we're getting a good list together. Hey, make sure no one forgets about the solar tube that's going into the bathroom as well.
Oh, we talked about that this morning as well.
Good.
It's a solar tube / extractor fan, which was specified, and then everyone went, where'd you get one of them? Like head scratching, then we found it. I think we're good. I think this is really helpful. I'm going to take this home and actually walk around the house with these now, room by room, and just check I've not missed anything.
And while we work on the planning of the construction phase, Kelsey and Nathan complete cladding the steel joists and timber. And the roof is measured for the custom-made roof trusses that will tie the old part of the house to the new.
Yeah, so you got 19.2. That one in there is 20, and this one's 21. So I'll do them at 21.
No, that's fine.
With all that on it. So, and like you said, top roof's just as normal. On this particular one, you've got a different pitch on this side to that side, so we'll just make it the one pitch. That's pretty normal for old buildings. They sag, and you've got scaffolding loading onto it, which is possibly pushing it down.
But for Kelsey, it's the Posi Struts that are most urgent. All the cabling, wiring and venting for the ground floor will be channeled through these, so the floor can't be laid until they arrive.
What's the lead time, you know? The one like Posi Struts.
Well, like I said, I'm pretty sure your Posies might even be ready, so...
Yeah. Well, that'll be good. I'll find out next week. But there was an email that came and said, no, it'll be Friday week.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, sounds good.
At the moment, I think our factory's fairly busy in the trusses, but something like this is a small job, so they'll probably turn it around within a week.
Which means another weekend of work for Alex.
I've taken out this bit of roof, which Kelsey wanted me to do, so that they can come in and put those new trusses hard up against this. I'm going to patch this hole, which was from the old bathroom light, because this ceiling's not coming down because it's an old fibrous one, so it's just too hard to take it down. And then when the stoppers come, they'll just plaster over it and you will never know there was a hole.
And with the demolition phase now almost complete, Alex is hoping to spend more time with the family.
It's just a daily grind of endless mess. I'm sweeping up every day, I'm putting buckets of junk in the skip. Rachel's basically, you know, single parent looking after the kids because she's kind of just pushed on through everything.
feel like I'm always out. So hopefully I can spend a bit more time on them.
Come Monday morning, with no date set for the Posi Struts and trusses to be delivered, Kelsey once again changes his plans.
Normally we'd have the floor down first and then stand the frame, so it would be a little bit easier for walking around, but in this case it just hasn't worked out that way because we've still got a lot of wiring to do and plumbing, and we're still waiting on some of the joists to arrive, which are getting made. So we're going to put all the walls together today. We've cut all the studs, which are the vertical pieces of wood that go from the top to the bottom, and the plates, which are the pieces of wood along the bottom and the top. They're all cut, ready to go, so we've just got to nail everything together, assemble it all, and then we'll stand the frames up as we go, and yeah, then we'll be able to see the outline of the house.
And it doesn't take long for Kelsey and Nathan to have the frames assembled and in position.
This is the ensuite, and it looks way bigger with just one wall up. So at the rate they're going, I guess by the end of the day they'll have another one up, and by the end of the week they'll all be up, and then those Posi Struts can go in, and the rest of the wiring and plumbing can happen, and the floors will be down. Awesome.
Kelsey's doing a great job of sort of picking and choosing where he works. What he's done throughout the process is if there is a delay or a downtime with something, he moves on to another project that he can carry on with. Prime example of this was creating all the studs and cutting all that so we could get ready to make the frame. So while he was waiting on the joist for upstairs and the steel work to come, he was prepped and ready and locked and loaded to do other stuff. It's an important process is the planning of it, and I guess that's where Alex and Rachel have got lucky. They've got a very thorough builder like Kelsey, who's always got something to carry on with.
Alex and Rachel's Hibiscus Coast house is undergoing a radical renovation, and the framing for the second story is already beginning to take shape.
It feels like a house. Now I've been walking through it, and I know where everything is, because I know those plans backwards now, and I've walked through here every day for don't know how many days. But now there's walls up, you can really start to get a sense for the space.
For Rachel, who is still recovering from spinal surgery, she can only be a spectator of the renovations on the second floor until the stairs are put in place.
Fantastic! We got a wall! That's great! We virtually move in. No, it looks really, yeah, but a carpet, it'd be sweet.
But all the work upstairs without a floor has taken its toll on the downstairs.
So in the kitchen, we have got a lot of surprise holes. This one over here is huge. Don't know what happened there. Kind of looks a bit foot-shaped, so not wondering whether someone's accidentally trodden through the roof. There's definitely going to be more patching up and fixing than I'd anticipated, that's for sure. We had hoped that the kitchen would be sort of relatively untouched, but there are some big holes appeared in the ceiling, and yeah, they're going to need to be fixed, and I'm sure there's probably more to come too.
Rachel's strength in the renovation is the design, and I've sent Caroline and Gavin from Window Treatments to advise her on what would look best in each room.
So I see the shutters are here that were given to Hamish.
Yes, that's right, they've arrived.
We have an 89mm blade and a 64mm blade, and they're controlled differently. One is the traditional tilt, which is your plantation, which the control's actually on the front, so you're just tilting it like so.
Okay.
With the windows that you have, with the country-styled window, colonial, the clear view might be better, which is a tilt bar towards the back.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's going to look fantastic.
Perfect. So what we're going to look at now is covering this particular area in roller blinds.
Okay.
So having a look here, we do have a square or a curved fascia box.
Okay. Oh, well, it looks much neater, doesn't it?
It's tidy. It hides the actual roller blind itself.
The fascia cover itself, does that blend in with the actual blind colour or the walls?
Generally, you put them close to the actual window frame. So you'd make the colour as close to the actual architrave as possible, so that when the blind's up and out the way, it actually looks like part of the frame.
It was quite interesting learning about the fascia covers. I didn't even know that was a thing. And the fact that even though we've got quite wide windows, you can have one fascia cover to cover 2 blinds underneath. That's going to look really neat, so I like that. And we've got to choose the colours and also being able to get textured blinds. The whole house is going to look so different, and I'm so glad to be rid of some of our sort of dubious Roman blinds that were here when we moved in 8 years ago and we've never replaced. But that was a really, really good morning.
And there's more good news. The Posi Struts have arrived earlier than expected.
I was just going along, pretending like I actually knew what a Posi Strut looked like. I do now. They're here, which is great because we were probably a week off from now expecting them, and here they are, a little bit early. What they do is the same job as a full beam, but you've got holes in them. So all the wiring, the piping, that can all go through all these holes, and it's got the strength and the structural integrity to do the same job as if it was a solid beam. So that's what we've been waiting for, because they're custom made for this job. It's not just something you pull off the shelf. So that's the final piece in the puzzle to go down in the floor before the actual floor itself goes on. So this is a great moment where we have action and we can see the 100 days being achievable, which is good, because I was just a little wobbly on that, but not anymore. I'm fine.
Which means Dean the electrician can complete the rewiring of the downstairs lights and the bathrooms.
The kitchen one's going to need to come into here and out there, isn't it? Out the Surveyor.
I don't know, but I might have a look at that.
Yeah. We've got extractor fans from the kitchen and from the bathrooms, and we're using the Schwagen ones, which are a silent fan, so the actual fan unit goes on the outside of the house. So in the kitchen you don't have a fan whirring away, you don't even hear it. Same with the bathrooms. So we're actually going to go for the wall-mounted extraction point, which are going to go out the side of the building for the kitchen on that side of the house. For the bathrooms, they're all going to go out that side of the house.
With Dean now waiting on the Posi Struts, Kelsey drops everything to install them as soon as possible.
The original plan, because you don't know until you start taking things apart, was that Dean, our electrician, would hardly be here. He pretty much lives here. That extra time and cost, and you know, the more wire you use, the more it costs, you know, but we'll go for that with the quantity surveyor, because there's a contingency to cover this kind of stuff, so you don't have to go back and ask the bank for more money. But when you spend it in one area, you want to try not to spend it in every area, so we'll just keep a close eye on it.
And I'm even been roped in to help.
But what are we doing, just lifting up and...
Yeah, just dropping in, sort of, there's a mark there, but...
Oh, yeah, which side of the mark?
Got to, yeah, just, okay. Just come back up a bit, because I've got to get mine in as well. Yeah.
Sure.
Another great day, another milestone. The Posi Struts have arrived. They're being installed now. Electrical work is going on feverishly in the background, and things are progressing. Before we know it, there'll be floors down, all the walls will be up, trusses going on, and then we can get to the fun bit, painting walls.
Next week, the stress of the renovation bites.
We're at that point now where I'm totally over the mess.
Alex and Rachel's plans expand.
Let's find the money and give the kitchen a bit of a facelift.
A supplier lets them down.
It means that the house can't be finished upstairs.
And the family hit rock bottom.
20 minutes, she went from fine to really sick.